looking up in the sky, and it was 3 white lines, vertical. Then was one that always stayed away from it.
I don't know what I saw.
Blip in the sky, streak of light.
Dark hovering object above a bridge that we were coming back from, and it almost looked like a...
This weird, kind of amorphous, opalescent kind of thing.
An unidentified object. It was coming in very fast.
It was staying perfectly still and stationary in the sky for about 4 to 5 minutes until it started to move.
And it was so distraught, and it was really wicked. To this day, I don't know what it is.
Made a hard right turn, went up like 90 degrees. They figured that it was traveling at something like 800 miles an hour.
And then they changed formation. At first it was vertical, then it went lateral, and then they changed it to like a rectangle shape. But that one always stayed away from the others.
I started out at a very young age witnessing anomalous events such as UFOs. And that's what got me interested in the field of ufology. I became a researcher and a speaker. Throughout the years, I have come across hundreds of people from all walks of life, from all around the world, who also have had similar experiences witnessing UFOs. And so this phenomenon is not new. It's very old and very widespread. Yet, this entire subject has been lacking credibility and acceptance from society, but also from the establishment. And it wasn't until 2017 when the New York Times came out with an article featuring 3 leaked videos from the US Navy that totally defied explanation, that the conversation began to shift.
Roger. There's troubleshooting. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Well, if there's like another thing, it's rotating. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
On USS Princeton, I was responsible for classified material, top secret data recording. In November in 2004, we were doing workups in preparation for our next deployment.
I was on the USS Princeton. I was the leading operations specialist. And basically, we control the radars, we man the radars, we fight the ship if we ever go to combat. My primary job was to identify everything that flew in the sky. On November 10th, I started to notice some really strange contacts off the coast of Catalina.
During those workups, we tracked unknown aircraft for several days.
This is the contacts here at 28,000 feet going south about 100 knots, and I'm thinking to myself, I'd never seen anything fly like that. I had 15 and a half years actual sea time sitting behind that radar. At one point, it was raining UFOs. I'd never seen anything fly like this, and all the other ships are tracking it too. Fast Eagle flight happened to be airborne. Commander Fravor, the first one to launch off the Nimitz aircraft carrier. These objects fell out. These things went straight back up to 28,000 feet again in less than a second. And then at the very end, it was right in front of him. Disappeared.
They exhibited flight capabilities that were well beyond anything that I'd ever seen before. So I'm pretty familiar with just about the fastest things in the sky, and these things kind of made them look like they're toys.
Because these videos were taken by military servicemen, the Navy and the Pentagon eventually confirmed the veracity of these sightings. Senator Reid, Senator Rubio, and others prompted Congress to investigate these events and publish an official report on these findings. Even though multiple credible cases were investigated, the UAP report, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, turned out to be inconclusive, which unfortunately did not surprise many of us in the UFO community.
When you don't know what it is, of course, nothing can be conclusively ruled out.
Can they come up with any explanation? Really just a fraction of evidence the government has on UFOs.
What does the U.S. government know about UFOs?
Had that bombshell not come out in the New York Times and Politico and CNN, we wouldn't be where we are today. The Pentagon has not been forthcoming at all. They have been a huge pain in the ass regarding this topic. massively. And what's really needed with this topic, real evidence, real data, however long it takes, that's the stuff that becomes foolproof.
The next morning I get up, I said, what the heck, I'm gonna write a very detailed message about what happened. I went back up to Combat Information Center, CIC, and one of the lead technicians, he looks at me and says, Senior Chief, the data isn't on the ship anymore. I said, what are you talking about? He said, somebody came on board our ship and they took our data. In fact, they made us erase everything down in the computer room. Even blank tapes had gotten erased.
We had our data recording for all of our equipment taken off the ship. And on top of that, we were ordered to erase everything that was left in the shop.
And for them to take it, it was highly unusual. I raised my hand and said, I think we got a safety issue here. And I would try to describe what happened, and I got laughed at. I got ridiculed. There was jokes posted, there was cartoons posted about me. And I got so frustrated that it ended my career.
Some of my shipmates lost careers, lost wives, lost, the ability to be able to see their children. These are all the consequences of these events that happened that we're told to not talk about.
And it was really scary. It was really lonely. And at one point I didn't know what I was gonna do. I had gone through all this pain and suffering, if you will.
It is unimaginable to think that a UFO encounter could affect these guys to such a point that they would lose their careers, they would lose their personal and social life. Now I feel even more determined to help find some answers about their experience. I feel, after all these years, if the government is not officially at a point where they can offer real answers to these very widespread sightings, well, maybe it is up to us to look into the subject, but from a new scientific perspective, because that has never been done. I decided to take on this challenge. I'm going to find a way to team up with scientists and experts on this and see if we can capture these objects ourselves and offer some answers. But first, I want to invite someone that I really, really love, William Shatner. I met him on multiple projects because he is the icon of the sci-fi world. And he also has been involved in the world of ufology and world mysteries for a long time. I think his insight is going to be fantastic to help us bridge the gap from sci-fi to real science. And that'll give us an additional perspective on what this UFO, UAP phenomenon is really about.
What has made mankind is an insatiable curiosity. Insatiable. What is that? Nobody knows. The phenomenon.
This time, we're talking about UFOs. The fact that the government is coming up with all these videos and saying it's real.
Oh, they're saying it's real,
Yes.
that it's really an unidentified flying object.
Have you seen the UAP report?
It's inconclusive.
Exactly. So we're very frustrated.
Well, what do you want to see?
Data. I think that there were a lot of very credible cases. Air Force pilots, Navy, military. There are so many of those credible cases that you would think by now we have some sort of investigation and data reporting or something
they had investigations. You would think by now that they would say, here's a piece of something, or here is...
Yes.
Right.
So, I had an idea.
Which is, and I'm sure it was a good one.
I thought we need to go all the way and do something at a much bigger scale. We need to do a scientific investigation.
I think that's marvelous.
Those Navy pilots were off of the coast of Catalina, and this is where they saw these Tic Tac videos, and other Navy ships as well, all in the same area. That's kind of what I'm thinking. We put a team of scientists, experts, military folks as well, since they have the experience, an attempt to capture something in real time.
Yes, if you could hone in
Yes.
electronically and visually
Yes.
on some unidentified flying object, you'd certainly have made news, that's for sure.
The Tic Tac video,
Okay.
for example. There is no other angles of the
Correct.
same object. We don't have any sort of radiation detection. We don't have any
You
sort
don't have a
of...
triangulation.
We don't
on it.
have any triangulation.
Although
Yes.
the radar picked it up as well as the cameras on the ships, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
All you need is a phenomena.
It sounds like you think it's a good idea.
Oh, it's a wonderful idea.
Great.
Well, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to hearing and hopefully seeing what you've uncovered.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's what we need, the smoking gun that'll clinch it. That once and for all will settle the debate. No ifs, ands, or buts. And in the process, rewrite all of human history.
I was ecstatic to find out that the Navy personnel from the USS Nimitz encounter had created the UAPX team with renowned scientists and experts to research the UFO phenomenon in more depth and with rigorous scientific methodologies. So the UAPX team was the perfect fit for this first expedition. Hey, Gary. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you in person,
Yeah.
Kevin.
Kevin, nice to meet you. It's awesome. This is Jeremy.
Good to meet you in
Good
the
to meet
flesh.
you. Hi, Jeremy.
Kevin?
Mr. Osiris.
Great to meet you. Absolutely, absolutely.
These are the guys who were on the USS Princeton. Everybody's been talking about. So why should we work with anybody else but the real folks who lived it?
You guys started
And
it.
Yeah. And so this moment is very exciting for me because if you want to bring credibility to this phenomenon, you have to go all the way. I mean, it has to be big. It has to be scientific.
That's the very reason why we started our company, is because we didn't have those answers.
We
And
agree.
It was great that they came out and let everybody know this was a real thing, but there needs to be more done.
Well, video is one thing, but we've got to get more data.
Personally thinking, we need to go back to where you guys were, Southern California. What do you suggest? What do you think we should do?
Well, we got a couple of locations on that we kind of thought that we're going to, do good coverage of the south part of the island.
Ideal, Carolina, if we could get a house on the beach right here somewhere, that would be ideal, and then maybe a place with a flat roof on
And
Catalina.
then our third location could be the truck.
So if we do have two stationary positions and then we have Jeremy in one spot, we could potentially achieve some sort of triangulation, which is
That would be the
very,
optimal
very
goal.
important
Yes.
in collecting data. So at the end of the day, who do we have on the team?
Well, we got myself, Gary Voorhees. We got Kevin Day. We've got Jason Turner.
And we were all on the Princeton together.
We also have Dave Altman and Michael Hall, both experienced UFO researchers. Then we have our scientist, Kevin Knuth, who is an associate professor in physics and an expert in exoplanet research. We also have Matthew Shadagas, an associate professor in physics. His expertise is in dark matter and radiation detection. Then we have David Mason. He's invented several of the devices that can detect communication patterns coming from UAP.
So we have optical, we have acoustic. What else we got?
We got thermal. We've got everything we can throw at it.
With all this equipment and all of us over 5 days, 24/7, if we don't see something, I'm going to be very disappointed.
It would be pretty disappointing if we don't see anything, but that
Okay.
is science, though.
Has this ever been done before?
Never.
And not that I know of.
I've never even seen it from the government.
We're making history. While the main team is getting set up at the Laguna location, Gary, Kevin, and I decided to charter a plane to scout a location on Catalina Island so we can have the best spot for our potential sightings.
So after all of the events happened and Kevin Day said, hey, let's go out there and let's go find out what they are.
I want to make sure it is the best vantage point facing the channel.
Yeah, facing the channel.
Yeah, exactly.
My goal for the expeditions is to prove they're real, prove they're findable and prove these things are knowable. We can know what they are. That's my goal.
I think we're gonna have like a couple of really, really good spots.
Let's see if we can figure it out. Let's see if we can find them. Let's go get the missing data ourselves.
I want to be the guy that makes the identification. That was my job in the Navy.
The best vantage point we found on Catalina Island is on the rooftop of a building facing the channel. We're going to have Dave, Michael, and a friend of ours, Chrissy Newton, set up at that location. They will be in constant communication with us on the mainland and will be able to alert us as soon as they have a sighting.
You set up on a rooftop of a building.
Okay.
You got a great line of sight. We've got all of the equipment put out there already. We're gonna have you thermal, your regular binoculars. Anything you see, you can be able to document and, correlate with the data that we have on the other side.
I got a feeling we're going to see something. I mean, there's been reports of sightings out there since the early 40s.
Well, you guys know what to do. Get over there, get everything set up.
Sounds great.
And,
We'll take shifts.
Yep.
Yep, you got it. Let's get her done.
Michael and Dave are off to Catalina. We are very excited, but a bit nervous because the logistics for the setup on Catalina and the communication are quite difficult. There are no trucks or vehicles on the island to help us move the equipment. And even though we do have a communication protocol in place, we're going to have to rely on a very spotty cell phone service. But with team effort, we're keeping a positive outlook and hoping for the best.
Looks like we made it, Mike.
Oh.
Let's get these big guys set up, and then we'll take a quick inventory of what we got.
Give us a little bit of a practice session on these things moving out there. And we'll see if we can keep up with any UAP that's going thousands of miles an hour.
Yeah.
We might have to.
Gonna get whiplash.
It's gonna be hard to catch them, but we'll see.
When I hear that you've assembled a team of top scientists using state-of-the-art equipment to settle some of these questions, I say to myself, what took you so long? I mean, the data is out there, so we have to jump into it. Wherever it goes, wherever the data leads us, that's where we have to go. So I say it's about time.
Here we are. The first days for equipment setup, we already had power outages and software malfunction. We only have 5 days to succeed at our mission. So the stakes are high. We have come prepared, but the odds of capturing real anomalous objects within these 5 days are 50-50. We just don't know what to expect.
I have a friend of mine, Chrissy Newton, another set of eyes. There'll be 3 sets of eyes instead of 2. All right, I got something. I got something, Michael.
Here?
Yep, over here. Here, come here, hurry up.
Huh?
It's up there. Oh, it's moving. It's friggin' moving. Hurry up.
What are we doing?
You see a white ball above the mountain?
Yeah, I do.
You see it, Mike?
Not yet.
It's
I see it moving now.
Is it moving?
Yeah, it's moving. Oh.
We saw a few things. The first thing that we saw when I walked in was a UFO that was, well, we think it was a UFO. We're not 100% sure. We did see some craft of some sort that was moving across the sky.
Tonight was good, you know? I mean, I guess having an extra set of eyes did help. We saw a couple of strange lights in the skies, as they say, when we first got here. And we saw a few more about an hour later. It's kind of getting cloudy, so we figure we'll pack it in for tonight and make it back out tomorrow night.
When a team member spots an anomalous object, the protocol is to immediately contact the rest of the team to see if they are able to capture the same object from different angles. And they also have to record what they capture and send the recording to our scientists. Well, the cell communication failed on that day, but the recordings were sent to the scientists for analysis. This is our first capture. We can't get too excited yet, but being the first day, I guess this is a good sign.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So we got everything out. We got half our equipment up. Did you get the radiation detector running?
Yes, I did. I got it running.
How's it, UFO DAP?
UFO DAP got a new software pushed out to me. I'll get it installed and running today.
Roger that. How's the Cosmic Watch?
It's all patched up and ready to go.
All right, roger that. Everything going good? Jason, anything to report?
No, I think we're all good. Let's get it going.
All right, well, let's work hard. Let's get everything up and running by noon. We need to get as much as possible time data recording while we're here. This is our opportunity. Let's get it done.
Excellent. Let's do it.
All right.
You know, half of our equipment is experimental. The other half is, well, some of it's old and some of it's not, and some of it's cutting edge. So it's just a matter of, hopefully, it'll all work.
Where should we put this?
Well, guys, I think that the primary place is going to be right here in the corner, about where I'm standing. All right. We've got a pretty perfect view of Catalina from here.
Let's try.
We've got unrestricted airspace over top of us. So you guys, this is actually the little brother of what I've got in the Osiris. We've got the magnetometers, we've got the GPS, we've got wireless connectivity, we've got all the barometric pressure, weather indicators, ADS-B. We can track known aircraft with this. And the best part about this is I can see this, I can control this from the Osiris. So if this thing's putting out any signals, we're gonna get it.
One of my friends, Travis Taylor, who's an astrophysicist, has been involved in studying anomalous events and UAPs from a scientific perspective for a long time. So I thought I would invite him to check out our setup and get his take on some of the new technology and equipment we brought along.
I'm really optimistic. This is great for the first day.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go through this
Hey,
frame by
guys.
frame.
Yeah, that'll be
Look
good.
who's
Hey!
here.
Hey, Travis. Hey, Travis, it's been a long time.
Yeah,
2
it's
years, I
been a
think,
couple
since the
years,
conference.
yeah.
You guys know each other?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This
Maybe
is
some
David
Huntsville.
Mason.
Yeah.
He's the brains behind all the inventions, but we have two major brains here as well. Wait till you see what's upstairs. It's crazy stuff. Would you like to give him a tour?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, I'd love to see it.
All right, perfect.
I'm really excited to see the instrumentation, the planning that these guys have put into this experiment. It's going to change the culture in the world. Scientists are going to have to start taking this more seriously if we're going to get to the bottom of the phenomenon.
So I hear some chirps and clicks.
The chirps are gamma radiation, which are higher energy particles, and then the clicking is the beta radiation, which are softer energy.
What part of the spectrum are you able to look at?
From about 10 megahertz up to about 2 gigahertz.
So you can see all the radio stations and TV stations and ham bands and everything that everybody would use. So if something's there that shouldn't be there, then you'll see it.
Absolutely.
So what else you got here?
We've got 8 FLIR thermal cameras running.
Oh, wow. And so you can see pretty much the whole sky in FLIR if you want to at night.
Absolutely.
Normally, UAP researchers have one FLIR looking like that way or that way. Now you can look all over, right?
Many of the unknown objects I have recorded often register temperatures minus 20 Fahrenheit. I've even had some down to minus 80 Fahrenheit, which is just extraordinarily cold. Exhibit no exhaust and no explanation for it.
So what's this thing?
This is a light wave transmitter.
So you have it's connected to a laser or something over here?
It's connected to a light wave transmitter assembly. There seems to be an oddity about them because the people report that they pulsate. And my theory is that there must be some sort of information or data.
So what if a UAP is off in the distance and it's modulating its brightness, changing its brightness with information pattern? They're communicating with us, right?
That's the
and when you
theory I
convert
have.
that to sound, our brains and our ears and various computer algorithms could find a pattern in that.
That's correct. We can also take that sound that we receive and put it right back on the transmitter.
And send it right back to it.
Right back to him. So if they're sending out data we don't understand, we can say, here you go.
Well, see, and that's the first protocol in any communication is you say, hello, world. If you hear hello, world, you say hello, world right back to them. So, you know, what's really cool about this is you've got a capability here to maybe detect communications and rebroadcast those communications in both electromagnetic, radio station, microwave, all that, optical, ultraviolet, visible, and infrared light, as well as temperature. You know, that gives you a broad range of where potential communications might be. We have no idea how the UAPs might be communicating.
That's right.
I'm really impressed. This is exciting, and I can't wait to see it working, and hopefully we see a UAP and talk to it.
I'd like to do that.
I would too.
We want to use really high-tech gear to collect some techno-signatures. We're hoping to be able to use that technology, if we do find them, to actually handshake these things, or maybe even talk to them.
I gotta tell you guys, after having a tour of what you've got here, I'm really impressed. You're covering the phenomenologies of across the spectrum of physics. I've never seen anything as singularly focused as this effort for one particular type of phenomena.
So here's another one of these. Can't take credit for this, but this is designed by my friends and colleagues at MIT. This is just a general radiation detector to look for anything that's anomalous above a normal background reading in a given location.
I got another one.
Nice.
Look, Mike, it's, oh my God.
Okay.
Look towards, it's right there. I'm not taking off of it this time. You see it?
Oh man, that's big.
Yeah, that's not a plane. And it just showed up out of nowhere.
Okay, let's see if we can get this on tape.
Yep.
I got it.
Yep, you got it. Now let's stay. I want to see it until it's gone. I want to see how it travels.
See how it leaves.
Yep, that's what I want. It's not a star. It wasn't there before. And that would be a really bright star. There's no way that's a star. That was not there.
It's pretty low on the horizon, too.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, go ahead. Hey, we just saw something quite anomalous, and Dave and I both got it on tape from our night vision photography.
Different angles, same object.
All right, I need to know bearing, elevation, which way is it going?
300 degrees northwest is where it finally appeared in front of us, to about
29 degrees northeast and disappeared.
in the clouds towards the mainland where you guys are.
All right, Michael, I'm looking on ADSB and MLAT right now. We've got no aircraft in the vicinity of the island right now. We've got a couple coming up the coast, and we've got one heading south towards the island, but there is nothing that has either tracked or is tracking in the directionality that we're talking about.
All right, Jason, look 30 degrees towards the island. So give me a description of it. Like,
What did it look like?
It was just a solid white spherical object.
put your hands in front of those two cameras for me. All right. All right, mark it on those two cameras for 33 minutes ago so we can check the recording.
Saw something over Catalina. We need you up here. We got a object filmed by two different cameras.
You're right there.
All right, so this is happening. We just had a triple gamma repeating frequency just now.
Really?
Yep. Where's Matt?
I'm gonna go look with the night vision because we need to be watching for these things.
Yeah, we need to be in the sky.
Keep your eyes peeled. We're getting a lot of triple spikes on
gamma.
On gamma.
I'm seeing a blinking white light.
Hey, Jeremy.
Exactly what I'm seeing.
Jeremy,
Roger
I think
that.
it's time to get a third vantage point. We're gonna take off.
All right, guys. They're right out by Avalon, just left of Avalon. There was a bright flash, a couple
we've got
flashes.
737 MAX coming in towards us.
No,
from the
I saw the plane up. It's about 45 degrees altitude, but this was level with Avalon.
Oh, it's on the horizon.
On the horizon, really bright flash.
I'm coming
straight across their path. There's a.
Yeah, but he's saying it's on the horizon.
It would be on our horizon.
Would you say at Avalon?
Right here.
Yeah, it was just to the left of Avalon, and it was like three really bright flashes.
All right, hey,
Several
Jeremy.
times.
Let's roll.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey, what's going on up here?
I've been getting spikes,
So there's an increase in radiation.
and it's been increasingly gaining. Sometimes the amplitudes were getting plateauing out where it couldn't go anymore.
Like literally in the last 5-10 minutes, we're getting like 3 bursts.
But to get anything from miles away, that means it must be an incredibly high flux source. Just like a light bulb, everything spreads out in 3 dimensions. In order to get a reading of anything from an object that's really far away, that means it has to be an incredibly intense source of whatever it's producing. But this is more interesting if we can correlate this as a spike being at the same time as the visual observations.
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited, but need to make sure it's not, airplane, satellite, although that's what's so great about our setup that makes it unique, because as far as I know, there's no such thing as a radioactive bird or plane. So that kind of starts to help rule out mundane explanations like that.
Yeah, dude, there's nobody. You see where it's going. All right. Ain't nobody coming out here.
We'll be done with it then.
Hey, so sorry, she got us.
All right, she's running.
All right, we're up and we're operational right now, so.
Right, they got the UFO DAP operational over where they're at. They're basically somewhere about 5 miles away.
Can he see the laser?
Like around the 10 miles from here? Yeah, no, that's. I mean, look, there's hardly any traffic heading that way. It's all coming this way.
Yeah.
We're getting triple bursts here.
Yep.
We got another one.
Another triple.
Awesome.
We got a lot of triples coming through, guys. Keep an eye out.
We saw some anomalous objects that are not satellites, that are not drones. The fact that these things were solid in color, round ovoid shape, moving in an anomalous pattern, no sound, that was incredible.
You see it? It didn't activate the camera at all. It just... That was bright as hell.
Yeah, it was bright, bro. It went right across the screen, like right here.
Yep.
Like that. And did you see it on the?
No, it never showed. Okay, that's the weird part.
Yeah,
it never showed on the fisheye. So the fisheye never triggered the PTZ. I only saw it on the PTZ camera.
try and check in, see what you guys got going on.
All right, so we got some weirdness happening here. We saw an object only on the PTZ camera. It did not show up on the fisheye. And I've never seen where I've got two cameras within 2 feet of each other. One can see the object and the other one cannot. So it's literally an anomalous thing where one camera is seeing a cloud and the object when the other camera is seeing just the cloud, but I can't see the object where it should be. It's just not there. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
It's fading.
It's gone. It's gone. It's friggin' gone. It's just gone.
Disappeared, man.
Yep. Disappeared.
Holy mackerel.
Did you get that on video disappearing?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
I was looking over the Cosmic Watch records, and I found a couple of high rate events and high energy event, and that was between 6:07 and 6:13 p.m. Do you have anything on the FLIR at that time?
We have an anomalous object, and this thing is like an elongated, I don't know what to call it, because it's not an aircraft, it's not a bird, it's not a bug. It doesn't fit all of the prosaic objects that we are aware of. And you notice that it's moving where it's contradictory to its trajectory, so it's like it's moving sideways against the wind if it were an aerial object.
This looks pretty similar to the Nimitz Tic Tac incident.
It does. It does look like that.
Going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
And there was a 32 MeV event. I mean, within the time synchronization uncertainty.
And Matthew, I've got something else here. It is an object appears suddenly in the camera.
And what was that?
There it goes.
There's some.
The object appears and then moves off screen rather suddenly. And then now it looks like it's reappearing.
Is that the same object coming back?
Could be. I mean, it looks like it's in the same location. Did you just see how it zigzagged? It just moved in and moved out. This is exciting.
Certainly anomalous, right? We're not going to be able to explain that easily.
Not very easily. You can't use all the prosaic explanations of bird, bugs, or aircraft on this one. And then check this out. We have a object that it'll appear in the frame.
Well, what is that?
You see that?
Yeah.
What is strange is it's registering cold in the thermal camera over several pixels, and it has some motion to it. It looks like it rotates or tilts and appears and then dissipates out of the frame.
That's even weirder than the other things you showed me.
Yes.
What time was this at?
At 9:29 p.m.
That matches in time to the night vision videos that we got from the island team. Yeah, that's when they called in with their night vision videos. They saw an anomalous object, and we also saw an anomalous object in the FLIR. That would be a remarkable coincidence.
That would be remarkable. How would it just appear and then just disappear without leaving the frame, without showing a path? This was just in there and then it wasn't in there.
It's fading.
It's gone. It's gone. It's friggin' gone.
Another interesting fact about this is that this particular camera was aimed at a 45-degree angle toward Catalina Island.
So it could conceivably be
the same object. Yep, because they're triangulating from their perspective, and then we're triangulating and converging at 2 points.
That would mean that we have seen the same object, not only from different angles, but also 3 different wavelengths, visible light, and 2 different kinds of infrared, right? So that is unprecedented in the history of UAP research.
Having correlating data from different instruments with different wavelengths, including radiation, that's just phenomenal.
In science, it's very important, especially when studying an unknown phenomenon, to be able to have multiple different modes or modalities of studying it and being able to look at correlations between different devices that are studying the same phenomenon. This reduces the probability of equipment malfunction, glitches and things like that, because the probability was greatly reduced of something being accidental if you can see it across different devices, especially if those different devices are based on different technologies and are looking at the same thing different ways.
Today, July 14, 2021, is an exciting, eventful day. At 5:26 p.m., a pink object appears, makes a U-turn, exits frame. Very anomalous. 6:07 p.m., a high-energy radiation registers 32.32 MeV. 6:09 p.m., we capture another tic-tac-like object traveling sideways. Could these be the same Navy tic-tacs that were observed in 2004 by the USS Nimitz, then by other ships from 2014 all the way to 2019? That would be incredible. Later that evening, at 9:29 p.m., the Catalina team captures an anomalous object, solid in color, on 2 night vision cameras and 1 CCD camera, which correlates with a solid object caught on our FLIR camera. Now, this object registers cold, which means it has no propulsion system that we know of. The object suddenly disappears, simultaneously out of sight from the multiple angles. Even more intriguing is that at the same time, the OSIRIS registers one anomalous object on one camera, but not the other. These are very intriguing, very compelling events, and astounding correlations. I think today was a breakthrough in our expedition and research. I am very hopeful we're finally on the right track in uncovering what these tic-tac objects may be, or at least getting more evidential data on UAPs and UFOs.
It takes just one credible, irrefutable piece of evidence to change all of world history. The entire literature of the human race would have to be changed if we had just one incident that is irrefutable.
Science is also about the skills of data analysis. It's not just the hardware, it's the software. And I don't just mean computer software, I mean our human minds and our intelligence and applying it to analyzing the data. So here's the first one right here. And the night was pretty clear, so you have to be careful not to be fooled by a lot of fuzzy splotches, obviously stars. You'll also see a lot of fast objects go by, which I'm pretty sure are meteors. But what is that?
No, that's very odd.
What is that slow-moving object?
And it's changing speed. It just slowed down and curved a little bit.
It's changing angle, and it's not blinking. It's not blinking like an airplane would with airplane lights.
Part of the scientific analysis is to carefully rule out objects that can easily be taken for UFOs. For example, a human-made advanced technology or a mirage-like object or an orb that can easily mimic a UFO because of reflectivity or some other atmospheric event.
There is a phenomena that you haven't mentioned.
Yes.
We know that whales sing songs, and we know that whales can hear them across the ocean, 1,000 miles away. The sound bounces off layers of water of different temperatures and then can be heard many miles away. That same phenomena applies to light. You're aware of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fata Morgana is a mirage. When people, and I've seen this myself, seen something on a rock or some distance away in the desert, and you could sometimes see a weird thing, and when you came upon it, it disappeared. Something happening over there, the light bounces off a hot layer of air over there and appears over here. So those floating ships that we've seen, mirages, and many, many other objects, the explanation is that a lot of phenomena are natural and explicable. Now, it's also possible that some of the phenomena aren't explained, and that's what you're applying yourself to.
That's the idea of this research, is to explain the explainable that the average person would think is an anomaly, but in fact, it's not.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
When the normal average person looks up at the night sky or even the daytime sky, and they see something that confuses them, typically they're making the cognitive jump right to UAP. I can tell you for a 100% fact that we have technology that does some crazy things that looks so unconventional that the vast majority of the citizenry in this country have no idea what's actually flying in our skies. For example, Northrop Grumman's X-47B. This is a Mach 9 plus capable aircraft. It is shaped almost in an equilateral triangle. This thing has a service ceiling of roughly 40 to 50,000 feet. So at that altitude, you're not going to hear sound. So the only thing that a person may be seeing is just the reflection of ambient light from the surface of the aircraft, which makes it look as if there is an illuminated triangle flying across the sky. One of the other examples of a drone that most people don't know about is Northrop Grumman's Bat. They're much, much smaller. The Bat could probably fit in the trunk of my vehicle. So these things can be launched from a catapult on a ship without having to have a runway or a flight deck. They are propeller powered, electrically driven, and they have an endurance of up to 18 hours. So this is a drone that has a small battery pack, but it still maintains very robust sensor capability and an extended duration of almost 20 hours of flight time, giving it the capability of getting out to sea, potentially swarming around a vessel, and returning. The things that the Tic Tac was doing, in my understanding of aircraft and flight dynamics, we still are not at that level.
Thanks for coming out, Ryan. No problem. I want to sit down and pick your brain for a little while.
Sounds good.
So it's been a while.
It has been.
Thanks for coming by, shipmate. I appreciate you visiting us here while we're doing our research. You were on board when Commander Fravor did his famous intercept and the Tic Tac video was created.
Yes.
Could you walk me through exactly, how you found out and like what you were doing on board? I honestly never had met you, and it's a pretty small ship, so.
Right. I was part of the air detachment. I was the leading petty officer of HSL 43's detachment on board you guys with the Princeton. I had actually been in combat at the time on the phone with the command back home because we needed something for our aircraft. So we were working out the logistics of that. During that time frame, the intercept was going on. There was radar screens, so I was able to see that. And then, of course, all of the commotion and what was going on, around me during that time frame was definitely heightened.
Were you there when the civilians had come on board? I refer to them now as the men in khaki because,
Right. So yeah, I was there when they showed up. I was in the hangar during flight ops. They came in, walked pretty much straight out of the hangar and left, came back a short time later with some bags and took off.
Well, I can fill you in on what they took.
Yeah, I know you can do that.
Yeah, all of our data recording.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you saw, the Tic Tac video and, the gimbal videos and, all the stuff that we know about what actually happened and, the flight characteristics of what it could actually do, you being really familiar with aircraft being in the air deck, what did you think about it?
What I thought about it is there's absolutely no aircraft that can do what those things were doing that I know of or have seen.
So, nobody wants to be the UFO guy. And, this is it's usually hard to talk about anyways. What made you be able to get over all that to talk about it? Was there a real big stigma in the air deck about stuff like that?
Well, there's always a stigma when you talk about UFOs. It doesn't matter if people believe you or not, you're going to get something for it.
I was planning on making a full second career in the Department of Defense as a contractor. But because I was clowned and ridiculed and kind of lost my reputation a little bit, it destroyed me almost. I saw this video on the TV. I was like, oh my freaking God, it's happening. And I dropped the plate of food and I jumped on the internet and found out what had just happened. That moment shook me to the core because I knew my life was about to change again. I had gone through all this pain and suffering, if you will, so I feel validated right now.
My thing is I saw what I saw, and I can't unsee what I saw. And if I saw it, then it happened, and I want to back that up.
For me, I was lucky that I didn't have the level of PTSD that some of the other guys did, but instead of trying to make this public, I internalized. For a long time after the event, I was emotionally completely void. I didn't really care, honestly, whether I lived or died, or whether or not anybody wanted to have a relationship with me, nor was I capable of having any type of interpersonal relationship.
We need to tell the truth about the things that we see.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that really bugs a lot of us about that too, is that we couldn't tell the whole truth about things. And if you did, nobody would believe you because the government didn't tell the truth either.
Of course.
So do you want to see what we got going upstairs?
Oh, I'd love to see it.
All right, let's go do it.
Every step we make towards finding out what these Navy Tic Tac objects are about is a step towards these guys' recovery in a way, in coming to terms with the event that changed their lives. I feel with this mission, we are uncovering more and more pieces of the puzzle that will hopefully someday bring some answers to these very strange events. We are 4 days in the expedition. I am getting really excited about the results we have so far. Hopefully we'll have more tomorrow. Meanwhile, David Mason's inventions that convert light to sound and sound to light have been operational 24/7. They've been capturing the light that comes from objects in the sky and retransmitting the same pattern back to space, non-stop. I decided to give it a try and see if we could capture the sound of an anomalous object and broadcast our own music and sound back to them in space.
That's Altair.
Which star is that?
You're looking at Altair. So if you aim the goggles and keep it in the center field of view,
Right.
now you can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
You can hear the rumble from it.
Oh, there's an airplane. Oh, I can hear the airplane. It's different. Can you see over there? Can you see? It's getting a different sound.
It looks like it could be a satellite.
Oh, wow. How cool. So is this the middle one? Is that the visible light?
Yes. So we have two different types of music being transmitted on two different spectrums. So it's kind of like radio stations that have different frequencies. So that way we can separate them out and just put out different data.
I am blown away by David Mason's inventions. If we are able to capture the sound of objects in the sky, then we can potentially identify the acoustic pattern of a UFO, which can give us more information about the properties of these objects. And the music that we broadcast can reach all points in space, and potentially a UFO would receive our music as a mode of communication, and hopefully will attempt to communicate back with us here on Earth. The only way to find out if this mode of communication works is to keep the devices running continuously and see if we can then correlate them with an actual UFO sighting in a measurable way. That would be phenomenal.
Day 4, really tired. I hadn't been sleeping at all. Other than that, we still got some more anomalous data with the radiation detectors, and we got the FLIRs going continuous still. Looking forward to tomorrow. I'm gonna go catch a couple hours of sleep.
Tell me when Gary gets here so he doesn't catch me sleep.
Already here.
Too late.
Good morning. Morning.
That was awkward.
All right. Oh, well, you still have to work. Everything's starting to look up finally.
Yeah, that's good, bro. That's really good.
It's good for everybody except the neighbors. They think our equipment can see through their walls.
Yeah, when the police come in last night, they were a little concerned at first, but then once we showed them what we had going on, it was like, man, he was intrigued.
Yeah, it must have been interesting since they sent the other two up here, too. At least they all had a good time.
That's true. That's true. All right, man. Let's get to it.
Let's get to work.
How come it's always radiation and they're never bringing coffee?
Well, you know.
Hey, we got an anomalous event for you to check out.
Did it show up on FLIR?
Nope, but you know what? I think you can help us with it.
Check it out. Goes all the way down the coast, turns around, tracks back up. That little black dot is us.
Wait, what's on that orange path? Is that...
That's the flight path, the historical flight path going down, coming back out, veering out right over our roof.
Oh, is that a helicopter?
yeah, it's not
helicopter.
A just a helicopter.
Yeah.
But wait, is...
Just messing with you, man.
Oh, couldn't this be corporate espionage?
I called the company.
We're not much of a corporation yet. That's a video of it going over the top of us.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Get back to work, man.
All right.
So, Gary.
Yeah.
Navy guy walks into a bar. He's got a 3-foot salami under one arm and a poodle under the other.
Oh, sounds like a good time.
This has been hard because it's a huge amount of work, a huge amount of data and equipment. But I'm getting really excited because David Mason tells me he recorded a flurry of raining objects falling down from the sky. Kevin Day said at one point it was raining Tic Tacs. I don't know if these are the same raining Tic Tacs that Kevin Day was talking about, but it sure sounds very intriguing, and I can't wait to find out.
What do you guys got?
We've got something really interesting here, Gary. Now watch the screen. What we have is objects that appear to be dropping from the sky, and you see that? It's just there momentarily, and looks like they're actually dropping into the ocean. And
that's crazy.
And I've looked at this and I'm thinking, could this be a camera artifact? However, there's a transition of decay time, so this is very strange.
So could these be like ice forming and dropping into the water, or I mean?
No, because what we're also seeing is it's transitioning where it's appearing in the field of view momentarily and then disappearing, but it's clearly having a trajectory that's downward.
I'm seeing them come in and then out and then in again when they hit the water.
It looks like they hit the water. It looks like they illuminate in the water.
That's amazing.
Does this remind you of anything?
Sure does. It reminds me of the Tic Tacs from '04. They would go from 28,000 feet down to sea level like that. I mean, just straight down, just like that.
I first saw the first group of those, whatever they were, on the 10th of November, and the intercept with Fast to Go flight happened on the 14th, and I continued to see these things up until about the 19th of November, and they were always in groups of 5 to 10. But if you were to add up all the groups, it was about 100 of these objects.
There were dozens of such tracks like this, which correlate not only with high energies, but also high rates in the cosmic watch.
After we examined the videos that we recorded, we were able to calculate the size of the objects based on the camera field of view and the distance of the horizon. We found that the objects were at least 4 feet across and falling at least at 5,000 miles an hour, and the objects that were distant were measured out at 69 feet across and falling at a speed of at least 84,000 miles per hour. So even if we were off in calculations by 50%, we have some extraordinary numbers that can't explain this phenomenon as being something natural or known.
Hey, you guys, what are you up to?
They're showing me some basically objects falling from the sky to the ocean. They found some correlating data with the radiation detection. And I mean, honestly, it reminds me of the stuff we were seeing in '04.
Wow, Tic Tacs. The Navy Tic Tacs.
Navy.
Caught on our cameras.
Yep.
That's incredible.
I mean, the fade out makes it look like it is really something dropping from the sky based on the way it fades out.
That's great. Wow, we got a lot of stuff, actually.
Honestly, I'm very surprised about everything that we've got.
You know, David, yesterday we were doing all the night vision stuff.
We just continuously broadcast this over ultraviolet spectrum and white spectrum and infrared spectrum.
So let's say we provoked it.
We provoked it.
We have recorded objects falling down from the sky at extraordinary speed that seem to have similar characteristics as the raining Tic Tacs that Kevin Day witnessed in 2004. Our measurements of their size and speed also fall within the same range as the findings made by the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies, as well as Dr. Knuth's scientific paper, Entropy. These in-depth scientific analysis of the Navy Tic Tacs detail similar estimated size and velocities in the tens of thousands of miles per hour, just like the objects we have captured on our FLIR cameras. We are getting more validation from other legitimate organizations about potential UAP properties, which is exactly what is needed for this level of rigorous research.
So, what kind of category do we think these things are? Are they physical objects, natural phenomena? Are they, mental manifestations? Are we all imagining seeing these things? I doubt that, because we measure it with scientific instruments, right? We're not all being hacked, right, and spoofed on this. Yeah. So my thoughts are, it is from some sort of intelligent creation, an intelligent construction, meaning it's a technological device. It could be organic, it could be electromagnetic, it could be who knows what.
On this hand, it's ours, and on this hand, it's not ours. And the answer lies somewhere in between. So my mind right now is open. If it turns out to be our stuff or some other country stuff, I'm good with that. Okay, I have my answer. If it turns out to be something not from this planet, I'm good with that too. Okay, I have my answer now.
That's stuff, knowledge, information, engineering that right now, to my knowledge, nobody on this planet knows how to do. Right? So that suggests that it's somebody from some other place has done this, or maybe other time.
I think that's an important point. You mentioned earlier the multiple cases. You mentioned the Bethune case. That's from 1951. And you've got these objects moving at very high accelerations and taking off at high speeds. The pilot estimated it as leaving at about 1,500 miles an hour, and it was tracked on radar from Newfoundland at 1,800 miles an hour. This is 2 years before the airspeed record of 695 miles an hour was broken. So this thing is moving 3 or 4 times faster than the airspeed record.
There are also now declassified reports, thanks to FOIA, mentioning flying white butane tanks. That sounds like a lot like a Tic Tac to me, and that was the late 40s, early 50s.
Let me put this in perspective. Einstein, Rosen, and Podolsky came up with these concepts in the 1905 timeframe into later about 1913. So in about 100 years is all that humanity has had a basic construct to say faster than light travel, wormholes, warp drives are even possible. And it wasn't until 1994 that someone was clever enough, Alcubierre, came up with the warp physics that says, okay, well, the physics we've learned since 1905 tells us, okay, maybe it is possible to do what they do in Star Trek and other science fiction movies and books. But that's only 100 to 120 years.
Yeah.
Not
thousands, the universe
not
is
millions,
13.7 billion years old. There's a civilization somewhere near us that's thousands of years old. Their Einstein was 10,000 years ago, for example. So where does that put them now?
What if you have multiple civilizations and they have different technologies and they use different things?
They do.
The other thing that happens is space gets compressed because the distance is shorter. Space isn't empty. You've got about 1 hydrogen atom per cubic meter. So as you compress space at very high speeds, you're no longer flying through a vacuum, you're flying through a cloud. At close to the speed of light, it's gonna rip your ship apart in no time, unless you have a technology that allows you to travel through matter without affecting it, like we actually see here with,
excellent point.
Crafts moving through the air without sonic booms or moving through water without splashes. We observe that.
That's the other counter that's always given.
Data.
We made it, guys. We got a lot of great data. And I just wanted to let you guys know, I'm very proud of the way that you guys have performed above and beyond any expectations I could have ever had. We got some great results, and let's start getting ready for the next one.
The past 5 days have been very hard and very exciting. We managed to capture multiple anomalies in multiple locations across multiple devices in real time. This is a first in the field of ufology. What are the odds that we would capture the exact Navy Tic Tacs that these guys saw over their ship in 2004? Now it's up to the scientists to continue analyzing the data over the next few weeks and tell us more about the properties of these objects and what this phenomenon is really about. Hey, you guys, we made it.
Hey,
glad you're here.
You're gonna need to sit down for this because it's pretty mind-blowing.
Wow.
So grab a seat.
Okay, we want anomalies. Is this like very different?
Yeah, and the story starts with a list of anomalous events in the cosmic watch. So I made a list of all events that were either high in energy, high in rate, or both. So the highest energy we recorded in the cosmic watch was 43.37 mega electron volts, MeV. So that's the highest we recorded the entire week. 8's sort of like the maximum for terrestrial radiation. 2 MeV is more average.
Oh, wow.
That high energy event I just mentioned was at 4:01 a.m.
Right.
At 3:59 a.m., this is what the UFO DAP recorded. There's a hole in the clouds, which is not abnormal to have a hole in the clouds that closes, but notice those strange dots within it. And also, if you go frame by frame, it closes in a fraction of a second. That seems to be too fast for natural cloud formations.
For clouds to move in and close the hole, they would have had to be going something like 700 miles an hour.
How far away was it?
Yeah, I can show you a diagram I've made of the
awesome.
situation. Yeah, so it's basic trigonometry. We're using the known angles so we know which direction the camera's aiming. We know the field of view of the camera, and that hole was about 18 degrees above the horizon. And so given a cloud ceiling of about 1,700 feet, you can say that that hole was about 1.2 kilometers off the coast. And so it's an elliptical hole.
Okay.
It's about 0.4 kilometers long and then about 0.1 kilometers wide. It looks like it's a hole in the clouds, or it could be a false streak cloud. Those are typically happen when you have very high altitude clouds and a section of the cloud that then spontaneously freezes, and then the crystals fall out and leaves a hole in the cloud. That isn't possible in this case because the cloud ceiling was only 1,700 feet and it wasn't cold enough for it to be that kind of cloud. A hole like that could also be explained from an airplane or another aircraft flying through the clouds that can cause a hole as well. We didn't have any aircraft going through at the time, and the UFO DAP cameras didn't pick up any craft. Now, the cameras did start recording because they detected something.
But when Jeremy slowed it down, there's also a new dot that appears in the last couple frames.
Yeah, the dots, there are a few dots appearing, yeah.
Yeah, but there's one fresh, there's one lonely dot, fresh dot that appears.
Did you check the radiation data with any outside organizations?
We did. We looked at the data from Fermi, the NASA spacecraft that looks at gamma ray bursts from distant astrophysical phenomena. There's no correlation there. We did have to check also for solar activity. This event is not correlated with the solar activity.
So, what about the FLIR? Anything with the FLIR?
Unfortunately, the FLIR, about 7 minutes before this event took place, all 8 FLIR cameras shut down. We lost power. And power was distributed from 2 different sources.
I don't think it's a coincidence, though. This really bothers me because it reminds me of how the phenomenon is often associated with electromagnetic anomalies that cause things to break, cars to turn off, and things like that. That I think it's really convenient that the FLIR went down.
How about the people who would say, well, maybe there's something malfunctioning with the camera? What would you say to that?
We actually have, several minutes before the video we looked at, we have another video that doesn't have the speckles but has the hole several minutes before. But then even better, we have, the entire week's worth of UFO DAP video and imagery where it's functioning perfectly. It's triggering on birds, it's triggering on planes, and it even has a built-in classification system where it says percentage probability it's a plane or a bird. Not only that, we also have direct controls from a nearly identical part of the sky, day and time, no hole, just clouds, and the camera's functioning perfectly normally. So there's just too many strange coincidences here with all the different events that stack together. I mean, it's really easy to take one video and say it's this or that, or it's not really anomalous because it can be anything. But it can't be anything because we've done these calculations and we have these correlations. So it's extremely unlikely that it was a malfunction in the camera.
Was there any correlative data with like weather radar or anything like that?
Yeah, we were able to obtain weather radar. Just before 4 o'clock, you see a large clump of area where you have a lot of turbulence. And so this is correlated with the presence of that hole. The radar shows that there was actually reflective objects in the area. High-energy particles and gamma rays would have bombarded the entire CCD chip on the camera, resulting in spots uniformly spread across the image. As a result, these really appear to be physical objects somehow appearing or materializing in the hole in the clouds. The radar return suggests that we are seeing the objects through the hole in the clouds at a distance of about 5 kilometers away. Thus, the objects are most likely about 35 to 50 feet in size, which is the estimated size of the Tic Tac objects in the 2004 Nimitz encounter.
Wow.
If you have something anomalous in different devices at the same time, that reduces the probability. This is why, for example, I've never bought into the claims that the Nimitz encounter, that was just, the radar didn't work. So then the pilot's eyes were also deceiving them. At the exact same time, the radar wasn't working properly. And the radar wasn't working properly at the exact same time the FLIR cameras wasn't. It's just so absurd to claim that multiple devices and multiple different imaging modalities were all conveniently malfunctioning at the same time, telling you the same thing. That is absolutely insane.
Well, with all this, what is it?
Because of how it looks like a hole that is open and then closing, we called it a wormhole, which got me obviously extremely excited. However, we have to be careful because that would be obviously a major scientific discovery that would require a great deal more evidence than what we have. Worst case, if it's not something tied in with our main goal of looking for evidence of non-human intelligence, this is a new phenomenon that no one's ever discovered. This is an unidentified, unclassified new phenomenon.
We are adding to the UAP unidentified.
We're adding to the
aerial
lexicon of unidentified objects.
Wow.
I forgot who it was who stated most scientific discoveries don't begin with eureka. They begin with, huh. That's exactly what we have here. It's one of those, huh, what the heck is that moments. Interstellar travel is one of those things that is not impossible. It's just really hard. And it's not impossible even with the laws of physics as we know them. What's so fascinating is that when I was 6 years old, I thought that wormholes were real for interstellar transportation. I called them portals at the time. They're what got me dreaming of becoming a physicist. And here we are today. We are turning science fiction into real science. We could be heading towards the biggest see I told you so in history.
In 1935, Einstein wrote a paper with his student Nathan Rosen creating the Einstein-Rosen bridge, a bridge that in principle could allow you to break the light barrier. Take a black hole, which basically looks like a funnel, and put two of them back to back. Stick the two funnels together, and you now have a gateway between two universes that would allow you in principle to go faster than the speed of light. These are wormholes. And are they possible? Yes. But you would have to be a very advanced civilization to do this.
What we're seeing are things that I think transcend reality. I come personally to an area of multidimensional realities of some kind that cross over periodically. When they are here, the thing is just as physical, you know, when it's crossed over, it's physically there. But when they separate again, it's not. So when you ask the question is, where did it go? Where is not even the right question. But it's very hard for us to contemplate things that precipitate into physical reality and then dissipate into apparent nothingness. There's got to be other life forms out there. It's my view that there are multiple phenomena that are all interrelated.
At the end of the day, we're trying to understand the nature of our reality, how things could be possible when they seem to defy the laws of physics as we know them today. Our consciousness is entangled with space itself, with everything that we witness. We can't deny an experience once we have it. So perhaps our fascination with the mystery of UAPs, could these be an extraterrestrial life form visiting us? How are they getting here? It is perhaps a way for us to understand who we really are, how we fit within the bigger picture, in the cosmic map of the universe.
What's a few thousand years to a galaxy that is billions of years old? These are the civilizations that could be millions of years ahead of us, or perhaps millions of years behind. That's the scale of the galaxy. And that's why I believe they're out there, and possibly even here. Our main problem is that we assume they're just as primitive as we are. They can digitize their consciousness and put it on a laser beam and shoot the laser beam at the speed of light. What's at stake is our understanding of reality itself. Our worldview could shatter with one credible incident that cannot be refuted.
The only explanation that makes any sense is that there's something of higher intelligence that's got advancement over our technology. I think it's going to change things of the world. People are going to understand there's something out there that isn't us, it isn't harming us, and we can learn from it. This is a paradigm shift.
Hi, Bill.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
I know. I'm so looking forward to what you have.
Oh, my God.
Oh, really?
Crazy.
That crazy?
Crazy.
Don't waste another instant. I need to see what you've got there.
Okay, I've shown you some things before that we found that were very, very interesting.
Yeah.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's not a blimp.
It's
not
Superman!
I mean, it's that has definitely been identified.
I can't tell you how excited I am to look at what you've got.
It's incredible. So keep your eye on this side of the frame. You see
darker.
that? Uh-huh.
And then lightens up.
Uh-huh.
And disappears.
Uh-huh.
Crazy. It isn't crazy, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's insane.
Did anybody else analyze that?
Everyone. Don't forget, our scientists have taken all the data for 8 weeks nonstop, looking into what could this possibly be. This is radiation emission, and look at that.
And there is a
huge burst.
Incredible.
Exactly of 43.37. That happens exactly at the same time as that opening and closing. Then it correlates with radar.
Right.
They saw this cluster that happens to be exactly in the location of that anomaly. So
okay, so you've got a spike in the radiation, you got a figure. So what you're saying is that it's amorphous. It opens and closes, it contracts. So it's nothing like we know. It's nothing that is human knowledge.
Exactly.
We're pointing at something and saying how mysterious our world is.
This is what we think could be a wormhole. Some sort of gateway, some sort of entry.
Wait a minute. It's expanding and contracting.
Yeah.
Well, wormhole is a separation in time.
Yes.
All right? And so that you can go through this separation, you can go into another time zone.
That is what the scientists are investigating. That has never been explored before in this way and recorded and measured
I
in
think
this
that's
way.
wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's glorious
Yes.
that you've gone to all this time and expense to look at phenomena that we don't know anything about, trying to measure it. That's great. That's just wonderful that you're doing that.
I hope that with our endeavors out here, that people will see that we can research this stuff without negative consequences, and we can know what these things are. And I hope that in the future that people will come together.
It took a lot of work to get to the end of this thing. At this moment, having proved what we did and to be successful, it's hard for me to find the words. I feel paid back. And we changed the world.
They went above and beyond my expectations. They supported each other. They took care of any problems, and I just can't say anything other than they're absolutely amazing people.
I've never seen anything like that before, ever. It was something out of a movie, almost. And the fact that it wasn't military, that it wasn't government, the fact that it was, normal people seeking answers, I love that also. Because they're accessible. The government will always classify data, the government will always hide data, obviously, but boom, there it is. It's on a roof in California.
Credible scientists are doing credible scientific experimentation and research to see if there's more to this UAP phenomena, and it's going to change the culture in the world. Scientists are going to have to start taking this more seriously if we're going to get to the bottom of the phenomenon.
And indeed, we found evidence of strange events that you can't explain away. You're not going to tell me you have a radioactive bird or plane. That's complete nonsense. This phenomenon, whatever it is not a hoax and not an optical illusion. We have legitimate anomalies. The next step in our jobs is to continue analyzing the nature and the properties of these objects so that someday we can finally make some definitive conclusions about what this phenomenon is really about. Is it natural, man-made, or not of this earth?
I believe we started something very important in the field of UAP research. If we discovered a wormhole, a portal, a stargate of some sort to other realities, or perhaps for now, we can just call it a tear in the sky.
Definitely some stuff going on that we don't know about, for sure.
I think there's other beings on other planets that have visited Earth.
No, I think no one's told us they visited us because we'd be scared.
Some things we're not supposed to know.
That's why they keep it a big secret. That's why there's a conspiracy.
Because they're way smarter than we are.
No one's ready.
And probably don't really want to be associated with a bunch of morons.
They're definitely on, some science that we're not at yet as a species.
Yeah, I think if anything, we've taken from them.
They might be ahead of us or behind us. We never know.
Probably they have the iPhone 21. They're just waiting till the right time to give that information to Apple.
If hypothetically,
yes,
a spaceship would land right now,
yes,
and an extraterrestrial will say, "Hey, Bill,
yeah,
come on board with me."
I would love to. I would embrace that and say, "Come in peace. We live in peace. We want knowledge." And I'd go into the spaceship and let them give me a baby.
Oh, I love that.
The next time you are kidnapped by an alien civilization, for God's sake, steal something. An alien hammer, an alien pencil, an alien paperweight. There's no law against stealing from an extraterrestrial civilization. You're not going to go to jail, and you'll have proof, living proof, that you've been in that flying saucer.
I think it's extraordinary that you've spent your time and your money doing that. If we could explain something that humans don't understand, and we have a valid, certified explanation of something that has been a mystery and no longer is a mystery, that only adds to this textbook of knowledge that human beings are striving every day to fill. And if you can fill that with one sentence, let alone a chapter, it would be wondrous. And I am filled with joy that you're making these forays out into the stuff we see and don't see and trying to find an explanation. That's wonderful, and I wish you well.
Thank you.